Welcome back to Visualverse. I'm your host Arun Prakash. In today's episode, we will be sharing 10 valuable tips to help you select the best settings on your camera for optimal result. Choosing the right camera settings is essential for capturing high quality footages and achieving your desired visual style. So let's dive in. Tip number 1. Shoot in manual mode. Shooting in manual mode gives you full control over your camera settings, while automatic modes can be convenient. Manual modes allow you to adjust crucial parameters such as aperture, shutter speed, and ISO according to your specific requirements. This control ensures consistent results and allows for creative expression. Tip number 2. Set the correct white balance. White balance determines the overall color temperature of your footage. It's crucial to set the correct white balance to ensure accurate color representation. Use the camera's presets such as daylight, cloudy, or tungsten, or manually adjust it using a gray card or a white reference in your scene. This adjustment helps maintain natural and realistic colors in your footages. Tip number 3. Choose the optimal ISO. ISO determines the camera's sensitivity to light. Higher ISO values are useful in low light situations, but they can introduce noise and reduce image quality. Choose the lowest ISO value possible to achieve a clean image. However, in low light situation, while increasing ISO is necessary, strike a balance between capturing enough light and maintaining acceptable image quality. Tip number 4. Control depth of field with aperture. Aperture controls the depth of field, which determines the range of sharpness in your footages. A wider aperture, which is smaller f number, creates a shallow depth of field, blurring the background and emphasizing the subject. A narrower aperture, which is higher f number, increases the depth of field, keeping more elements in focus. Choose the appropriate aperture based on your desired visual effects and subject matter. Tip number 5. Adjust shutter speed for motion. Shutter speed determines the amount of time the camera sensor is exposed to light. A faster shutter speed freezes motion, while a slower shutter speed allows for motion blur. Consider the movement in your scene and adjust the shutter speed accordingly. For example, use a faster shutter speed for action sequence or a slower shutter speed for capturing smooth motion, such as flowing water or a moving car. Tip number 6. Use picture profile and picture styles. Many cameras offer picture profiles or picture styles that allow you to customize the look of your footages. These profiles provide predefined settings for contrast, saturation, sharpness, and color grading. Experiment with different profiles to achieve desired aesthetic for your project. Additionally, shooting in a flat or log profile preserves more dynamic range, enabling greater flexibility in post-production. Tip number 7. Consider frame rate for motion. Frame rate determines the number of frames captured per second. Different frame rates produces different visual effects. Standard frame rates for cinematic footages are 24 fps and 25 fps, while higher frame rates such as 60 fps and 120 fps creates smooth slow motion footages. Select the appropriate frame rates based on intended mood and desired visual impact of your footages. Tip number 8. Enable manual focus for precision. Manual focus gives you precise control over the focus point in your footages. While autofocus can be convenient in certain situations, manual focus ensures accuracy and consistency. Use focus picking or magnification features in your cameras to assist in achieving sharp focus. Take the time to fine-tune focus, especially when shooting subjects with shallow depth of field or intricate details. Tip number 9. Utilize histogram and exposure tool. Take advantages of your camera's histogram and exposure tool to ensure proper exposure. The histogram is a graphical representation of your tonal distribution in your image, helping you to avoid underexposed or overexposed areas. Additionally, use tools like zebras or highlight warning to identify areas that are too bright and may lose details. Aim for a balanced exposure that preserves detail in both shadows and highlights. Tip number 10. Shoot in RAW format. Whenever possible, shoot in RAW format. RAW files contains unprocessed data captured by the camera sensors, giving you greater flexibility in post-production. RAW files retain more dynamic range and allows for adjustment to white balance, exposure, and color grading without significant loss in image quality. Although they take up more storage space, shooting in RAW provides the best foundation for achieving your desired result. And there you have it, 10 tips to select the best settings on your camera for optimal result. Remember to shoot in manual mode, set the correct white balance, adjust ISO and aperture, control shutter speed, utilize picture profile, consider frame rates, enable manual focus, use histogram and exposure tool, and shoot in RAW format. Join me in the next episode of Visual Verse, where we will explore the art of visual composition and discuss techniques to create visually compelling shots. Until then, happy shooting and keep refining your craft. Thank you.